Welcome to Yahweh's Feast of Unleavened Bread. My name is Yehuda ben Israel, and to my left is
Uriah ben Israel.
Obadiah ben Israel.
And we are the keepers of the house of light. And as I stated, this is Yahweh's Feast of Unleavened Bread. And before we get into the discussion, I want to just tell you about who we are. The keepers of the house of light are dedicated to spreading the righteousness, love, mercy, and forgiveness of our Father, Yahweh, Elohim of hosts, by and through his Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, or Yeshua the Messiah, the Lamb of Yahweh, the King of Israel, the high priest of Israel, and our Redeemer and Savior, whose name be blessed forever. We are here, obviously, to keep the commanded feast, but we're here also to teach and proclaim the gospel of Yeshua, the Messiah, who magnifies the law of Yahweh and makes it righteous. So often we forget, and then we get into tradition, oh, I'm a Hebrew, I'm a this, I'm that, right? But let's remember who is the Hebrew, Yeshua HaMashiach. He's done all of the work, right?
That's right.
You said that other night, during the Passover last night, Obadiah. You talked about that. You know, you said, well, when we were in the land, did we not speak Hebrew, Uriah?
Of course.
Did we not, have synagogues?
That's right.
Did we not?
They knew the tribes they were from.
They knew the tribes they were from.
All their history. So that wasn't the issue.
So that was the issue. Yet you were scattered to the four corners of the world and placed in the hands of your who? Your enemies, the heathens. So let's not get too pumped up about certain things, because you don't have anything to be really pumped up about. It's Yahweh gets the glory. Yeshua gets that glory because he's reconciled us back to the Father with his life, right? And he's our Passover. We did that last night. So we observed the Passover last night with our Adonai, Yeshua, was that lamb. He went voluntarily. He wasn't forced, right?
Yep.
So with that, let's kind of keep in mind who this is all about. You can read about the Mashiach, right? So, and his spirit is with us. So I'm going to turn it over to Elder Uriah for the reading of the scriptures, for the reading out of the scripture and the gospel.
Okay, thank you, my elder brother. First, the first place I would like to go is the book of Deuteronomy. I would like to read the Shemer. And the Shemer can be found in Deuteronomy, as I said before, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 and 5. And it's very, very important to us. The Shemer, the meaning of the Shemer is to listen or hear the word that is written and preserved by our forefathers, given by the Most High Yah. And we should walk in them and do them each and every day. Not only Shabbat, but every day, to show love unto your neighbor. Verse 4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim is one Adonai, and thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind.
Praise Yah, brother. And as you go into the next word, that's what we said. We talked about King Hosea last night.
He kept the sheep.
He kept the Shema. It was said that that's how he loved Yahweh.
That's right.
That was memorialized about him.
So it was whole heart.
Exactly. Praise Yah.
Praise Yah. Let's go to the book of Matthew. Matthew 22, And we're going to be picking up on verse 34 through 40. And we can see in this gospel where the Son, Yeshua, HaMashiach, magnify also the Shema to show that the Shema is so important. And he said, be followers of me. Verse 34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is a great commandment in the law? Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hung all the law and the prophet.
Yes, sir.
Praise God for those encouraging words. The next place I would like to take you is Matthew chapter 18. Just verse 20, a single verse. Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. It is a Shabbat, so you know.
That's right.
Yeah, we're 2 or more calling upon the name of the Most High through His Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. Yep. The Most High is there. The Spirit will be with us. I heard you. Yeah, continue to praise Yahweh. Even the babes. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Isaiah chapter 58. Verse 13 and 14. Verse 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Shabbat, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Shabbat a delight, the holy of Yahweh, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words, then shalt thou delight thyself in Yahweh, and I will cause thee to ride upon high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it.
But would you just expound on what you just read? Because sometimes when we read these things, we talk about reading versus studying, reading versus meditating. Anybody you can read it, but you might just read over. You just read it, but the words have never really steeped in.
Resonate. You have to let.
So would you just kind of expound a little bit more, just what you just read in verse 13 and 14?
In other words, what Isaiah is saying to us, whatever we do, to satisfy ourselves, when it comes to the Shabbat, we have to cease from doing it. Whether the computer, whether the phone, whatever it is, if it's not used to glorify the Father, we have to put it to the side. That's basically what Isaiah is saying. And then He will bless you with all the blessing from Yaakov.
Praise God, brother. I think that's part of that's a sign. It's not a sign between Yahweh and His people that you keep this eternal, the everlasting covenant, which is the Sabbath.
Yep.
It's a weekly, it's the holy
Occurrence,
day. Yeah, a weekly occurrence, and it's meant for us to just take one day. He's giving you all the days.
What's wrong with that?
Why don't you just take another day? Give Yahweh that day, right?
Yeah. He's
Because-
giving life unto us.
Exactly.
And giving us all of our needs.
Right? It's sad we have to wait till we get hospitalized or sick or down on our money or something, a tribulation on affliction, then guess what? You stay in all night praying. You keep the Sabbath then if you can. Friday night, Saturday night, praying, calling on Yahweh. And Yahweh is always so merciful though. He know we don't. He know we've all sinned and fallen short. But that what you can do it. Don't make an excuse. Just be obedient, right?
That's right.
And that's why this Sabbath, all the Sabbath that we're supposed to keep are critical. And this feast of unleavened bread is just like that. It's a memorial forever. So with that, let's segue into why do we have the authority? What is the authority or the mandate of the law, the ordinance that requires us to do these things? And we're going to go back to the book of Leviticus chapter 23. And Brother Elder Uriah, will you take us there? And let's just go over again what Moshe, because again, Moshe, Yahweh spoke to Moshe face to face, did he not? I think we discussed that last Sabbath.
He said, I didn't speak with you like I spoke with the other prophets.
Right.
Visions and dreams.
Right.
That's right.
Right. He didn't speak to Abraham face to face. He didn't speak to Abraham heard his voice, right? But this is he's put Moshe in a whole nother level of like, and maybe I think we're going forward too. I think not necessarily backward with Abraham, but we know that was Yahweh's friend. He spoke to him. Nobody's ever heard Yahweh's voice. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Or seen his form at any time. But Moshe is speaking with him. He's hearing him. And he told Moshe what to write down. And Moshe, being a faithful servant, promulgated what he said. He wrote it down, reduced it to writing. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 23, brother.
Okay.
And let's see why we're here this evening.
Leviticus chapter 23. I'm going to be picking up the reading at verse 1 and all the way to verse 7. Verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocation, even these are my feasts. So we see here that these feasts are for Yahweh.
Right. The Yahweh's feast.
Not our feast. Verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is a Shabbat of rest, an holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Shabbat of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
It's number one, right? There it is. It's off the top. The weekly Shabbat, right?
Verse 4. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocation, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yah's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. In the first day you shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days. In the seventh day is an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein.
Praise Yah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's praise Yah. So I think that's very clear instruction, right? Nothing servile work. You're not to work to get paid. You're not to be compensated. That's what that's meaning. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Because you're definitely going to step outside and do something. And the Mashiach clarified that. If you're ox in the ditch, so don't get, I can't do. Some things are going to happen.
Well, another thing is the Mashiach said, is it not lawful to do good on the Sabbath?
That's the main exception.
You remember the Pharisees and the scribes, they were hypocrites. And they tried to mock the Mashiach and find fault when him and his disciples and the servants were out in the field.
Right.
And they picked some of the grain.
Right.
They looked to find fault. You're not keeping the Sabbath.
Right.
You're not doing it properly. He's the master of the Sabbath. And
Exactly.
they're telling him how to keep us happy.
Praise Yah.
Praise Yah.
Praise Yah. And see, and that's, and then they quoting the law, but not even quoting the law right.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at that grain, they're taking the grain,
They didn't take it out the field.
they took the field, it was there.
Yeah.
They did what they, and you're supposed to leave a glean
That's right.
for your poor brothers.
Yeah.
Don't take everything off. Don't totally go back and forth. So these are things that we have to understand.
But you know what, too, also my elder, which I maybe need to expound a little bit on, when it comes to the feast of Yahweh and the feast days, the unleavened bread, that feast day can fall on any day of the week, the first day. So if it falls on a Monday, if it falls on a Wednesday, if it falls on a Friday, it's going to be, on a Shabbat unto us also. Okay, so it don't have to fall on the seventh day. And also, he said, no work also on the seventh day of that feast of unleavened bread. Said also is on Sabbath unto us. And that can fall any time, any day of that 7-day cycle that he have given unto us from written in the book of Genesis.
Praise God, praise God. So now let's go back to, before we go forward, again, I want to talk about the brothers here. We are wearing Igbo chieftain caps, and Igbo is a nation of people, tribe that are in Nigeria, and these are caps. They call them red caps, and they're pretty much worn by people who are elders, honored, who have titles within the Igbo. So we're not saying that we are chiefs, we are or anything like that, or Igbo for that matter. But we're going to recognize part of the culture that our fathers came out of. We many of us are probably Igbo, of the Igbo descent, or Igbo. So what we're doing is just giving honor and recognizing these things so we can know. So we're not wearing kippas, we're not wearing kupis. We're wearing tonight. We're just wearing.
And we're not the Moors.
We're not Moors, obviously. So don't get that confused with Moors. And if you can wear a kippah, that's like the headdress for Jewish people in America and the world. But we're not, and Muslim wear kupis. So we're taking we do different things. But one day, Yahweh is going to allow for us to come into and do the things that are given to us to wear and to don on our heads and etc. But right now, we want to make sure we just give that type of the historical background and the cultural relevancy of it. But we are servants of Yahweh. We are deacons. We are, in fact, under the Melchizedek priesthood.
That's correct.
As all the men of Israel are. And so at this point in time, we are, I guess we're in a position to, to let our, to that respect, elders, etc. So it's a blessing that we even know these things. So Igbo, you can look up that information, IGBO, and you'll find, go on to YouTube and you'll see who they are, Igbo Jews. You can find out about Limba Jews. You got the Jews in Uganda. You got Hebrews all throughout the continent of Africa. And this information is coming out. Obviously, Ethiopia, the Better Israel there, and the Falasha, as they are called, Falasha or Better Israel, Beta Israel. So, and we're the house of Judah in America. We're the people of the book. We're the people that have been scattered to the four corners of the world, and we are not only Israel, but we are calling on and recognize our Messiah, Yeshua, HaMashiach. So we are Messianic in that sense, Messianic Jews. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that term. That's who we are. We believe that he's the fulfillment of the law. So with that, I just wanted to just put that information out there, and let's go back.
My elder, those are some great information, because a lot of us don't take the time out to do the research. So
Right.
thank you for that information.
Right. Oh, praise God, brother. And we always encourage people. Well, you should always be studying. You always should be researching.
That's right.
Study.
Yeah, you show yourself proof. You should
That's
be
correct.
studying. If you don't understand something, you gotta vet it. You gotta figure out how these things come about.
Mhm.
Because for so long, you can listen to people, and I think that's part of human nature, in a way.
Mm.
We hear, and that sounds good to me.
Sounds good, but Yahweh's calling us away from that simple-mindedness.
That's correct.
He said, how long you simple, you love simplicity. That you go by word of mouth.
Exactly.
Prove all things.
Right.
I don't care who say it.
Right.
It is not Yeshua. We were told, prove all things.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, well, I've read and I believe this says this. Well, this book proves itself.
Correct.
The prophets have spoken. The apostles have spoken.
Yeah.
Right? The revelator has spoken. Right? So everything's in here. The key thing is to understand how to read it and to get some grounding somewhere in the book. That's why you got to start at the beginning and find some teachers that you can sit down and go through this book, and see, are you the Jews? Are we the Jews? Or are we not?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question you should be saying. Is a game being run on me? Am I just black? I'm just black. And blue. The wretched of the earth. We don't have, well, read the book. As you study this book, you're going to say, well, this seems Exhibit A. The book is Exhibit A.
Well, my elder, one thing is so important when you're reading this book, and please do not read it as a religion book or a religious book. Read it as a history book between the Creator and His people. It is a history book, and you will get the maximum amount of information that way. We read it that way. But if you read it as a religious book, you won't get anything from it.
Exactly. Or you feeling down, you're just reading it because that's the only thing you got. I should feel down. Well, you might find something that inspire you.
Yeah.
But it's contextual. Everything's within context.
Yep.
You might be reading something totally out of context. And well, guess what? You'll take that and turn it into a religion. Next thing you know, you got some snakes. You're a snake handler. Well, I read when Paul, the snake bit Paul, and he had faith. He threw the snake. Next thing you know, you're handling snakes. You're an old religion. That's part of your belief system now.
Yeah.
But that's contextually out of place. But with that, let's now, as we're studying this Feast of Unleavened Bread, we went on this last night, but again, you have to continue to hear this. This is your history. You should be able to articulate this to anyone. I was talking to a Gentile female the other day, and she was asking me a question. I asked her a question. So we got in the conversation, and she's like, "Oh, you're keeping like the Jewish people did." I said, "Well, yeah, I didn't go into all that." And she said, "Well, I asked me a question." When I said, "Oh, this is because Bam Bam, for example," and she said, "Well, what about that that menorah? What is that?" I said, "Oh, you mean that just means a Hebrew for candle holder, candlestick." Mm-hmm. But Yahweh gave Moshe the design, and that's why I said you got to go in the book of Exodus, and you'll see how Moshe he was told to fashion that 7 candlestick holder. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "Wow, you ought to be a preacher. You got all that." But I said, "Well, I'm just listening. No need to go into, I'm a Jew," and beat her down. But when you give people information, that's the difference. Yeah. You can, if somebody asks you a question, you should be, if you've been studying this word long enough, you should not be heeing and hawing. So if you heeing and hawing, something ain't right. you're not really putting it, you don't become, have you become religious? Because, you know, Yahweh wants you to be able to defend his word and to reach out to people. You got to give them the whole script, but you can be able to tell them a little something.
Yeah.
Yahweh say, yeah, plant a little seed.
Yeah.
You know, because some of these Christians will tell you what. They'll confuse you if you're not grounded yet.
Yeah.
Right? So let's get grounded. Brother, let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 12. And again, this is where, at this point, you know, Yahweh's going to get ready to deal with Pharaoh and his people by killing the firstborn of everything in Egypt. But except for his people will be spared. And we're going to see that right now. Verse 1, you're going to do it, right?
Okay.
Exodus chapter 12, right?
Yes, Exodus chapter 12, and we're broadcasting, so Exodus, we're going to repeat this, but we're fine. But let's Exodus chapter 12. Brother, go ahead.
Okay, Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of month. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, unleavened bread, and with bitter herb they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden, and all with water, but roast with fire his head, with his leg, and with his purtenance thereof. And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire.
Let's pause there. We observed the Passover last night, right, brothers?
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh blessed us with a beautiful attendance and a feast.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened to the food, brother? That we had a lot of food left over, right?
Yeah.
So what did you do? What happened with that food?
Yeah.
We decided.
You have to get rid of it.
Right. So you didn't take a plate home, Obadiah?
No.
You're right. You didn't take a nice plate home.
No, I can't do things against
Well, that's
the
a
word.
lot of food, brother. That's a lot of money.
I know, but he will provide for us.
I just want to make sure, but see, this is something serious because a lot of people may be on. It's kind of hard to conceptualize what Yahweh is saying.
It's called sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice,
That's it.
and people today be like, I can't be cooking up stuff, But once Yahweh gives you the Spirit, you come to this truth, you understand what's happening. It's time to go. They're gonna get ready to get up out of there anyway.
Right.
It's time to go.
But you know what that reminded me of, my elder? When Yahweh, told them was giving them food from heaven. And he told them, you just need to take a homer, take it back home. But on the 6th day, take double.
Right.
But on the Shabbat, don't go out to take any. But you have some folks gonna go out. No, I have to take it.
Yeah.
They
I
don't
don't have no
trust in
faith.
the word.
I
They
don't
don't have no
trust.
faith.
Right. No faith.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so we observed the Passover last night, and we complied with the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
We disposed of the food properly. So let's continue, brother.
verse 11. We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 11. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And you shall eat it in haste. It is Yah's Passover.
Praise God.
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt.
You see, this is the angel speaking. You know, he bears Yahweh's name. You understand? So what's going on here? He said, I'm going to pass over. See, you got to be sealed. He sealed Israel in the land. So we're sealed in the blood of the Mashiach now.
That's true.
Right? All we have to do is just humble ourselves to walk, you know, in the way.
Right.
Walk in that spirit, you know, as he said. But it seems like that's kind of hard. I mentioned it last night. Because sometimes love is a stumbling block for many people.
That's correct.
And so, but we have to learn, because we're human beings, you know, we're no worse than any other human beings on the planet. We're no better. Because all have sinned and have fallen short of the glory of Elohim. But we are his people.
Correct. We have to strive for righteousness.
There we go.
Strive to walk in righteousness. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's still by Yahweh's grace that we're going to be saved. It's not by the works we do, or because, you know, we got a lot of people who believe that that's the road that you have to go down.
That's so critical.
Works.
That's so critical.
I'm not going to clean my heart. I'll keep all this leaven in my heart. I'll do all these works, and that's going to cover this. Like Yahweh doesn't see that.
Right.
Well, Yahweh will allow you to do that. I need that work done, so I'm going to let you do that. But guess what? What did Yahshua say? In that day, they're going to knock on the door. They're going to say, get away from me. I never knew you. It's not those who it's not the lost sheep. It's the ones who claim to know him.
There it is.
Didn't I do this in your name?
There it is.
Do that in your name?
Right.
So this is what we want to strive to remove. This is why it's so important for us to be humble and walk uprightly before Yahweh. To strive that he would keep his righteousness unto us and mercy upon us. Because it's by his grace that we're going to be saved.
That's right, brother. That's right. That's right. Nothing we can do. Because Yahshua's done it all. You can't even step in there.
Yep.
Yahshua said, I did it. So
It's
it's a spirit that just works. So the only thing we can do is be what? Humble servants. You know, and Yahshua said if we keep his commandments, he said, you know, he'll call us a friend. Just like Yahweh called Abraham a friend. So the master comes back and tells him, he told his disciples, if you keep my commandments, you love me, because the master don't know what, the servant don't know what the master's doing. But this day, I'm going to call you not longer servant, I'm going to call you friends. If you abide in me, do what I tell you to do.
Yes.
So we can't say we're friends with Yahweh, or you don't know anything what Yahweh's doing. Yahweh don't come to you to consult to you. He don't consult me. He ain't called me about nothing. I don't know about you, brother. He asked you about everything. I don't think so. I don't think he calls any flesh. What he say? If I was hungry,
I wouldn't tell you.
I wouldn't tell you if that was even possible. But see how Yahweh speak. He kind of like how we are. He made us, so we got that. So we get that cockiness. We'll be somewhere full of pride. I ain't gonna let him know I'm starving. Let me call the other brother. I don't want to let you know. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
But Yahweh is above all of that. But praise Yah. So continue, brother.
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Praise Yah.
7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the seventh day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self-same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generation by an ordinance forever. In the first month, and on the 14th day of the month at even, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
Praise God.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether be a stranger or born in the land. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitation shall you eat unleavened bread. Then Moshe called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptian, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to you, or unto thee, and to thy son.
Read that again. Verse 24.
I'm sorry for that.
No problem.
Verse 24. And you shall observe these things for an ordinance to thee, and to thy son forever. And it shall come to pass when you be come to the land, which Yahweh will give you, according to as he has promised, that you shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, What mean you by this service? That you shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yah's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptian and delivered our houses. And the people bowed their head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away and did as Yahweh had commanded Moshe and Aaron, so did they.
Praise Yah. Now, those of you who have children here listening, see, Yahweh commands you to keep this book of the law open, and when you're walking in the way, when you're sitting in your homes, you need to be talking about this. This is what he commands you to do, parents. See, because how are they going to know the law if you don't sit down and tell them the law? See, they got to understand, because if you don't tell them the law, guess what? They're going to go out with that they're going to be under curse, because they're not even going to know. But it's to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, right? So you're like, wait a minute, how can that be? But the fathers don't tell, then the kids can become what? They can go astray. That's all this is about. This is what Yahweh is showing us. Look at what has happened to the holy people in the last 400 years, just in America. Just here in Daughter Babylon. And look at the thousands of years that have been since we've been expelled from the land of Israel. And many of us have not had that law. Right? By what?
That was my coincidence.
That's my point. There it is. It wasn't by coincidence. So now we can see it now. But man, this is how we've been in bondage. This is how we've been kept on lockdown. Yahweh made sure you're going to be among them, the strangers that are with you, you're going to be worshiping their gods. and they're gonna beat their gods into you.
He said, the law is your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding in the sight of the nations, whither he shall drive us.
Right.
Right? So, us not using the law, not knowing the law, well, that was the curse of blindness.
Exactly.
Put upon our people.
Exactly.
Now we have no excuse.
Well, exactly. You know, particularly for us that are awake, and when I'm awake. Well, then why are you breaking Yahweh's law? Why can't you walk in the spirit of the law? You say you're awake, you're under the blood. That's what Yeshua told me. He healed the blind brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? After he had healed him, he made his stand before the Sanhedrin, and they threw him out the synagogue.
Correct.
Yep.
Right? And didn't Yeshua go back looking for him? And he'd already healed him. I love that story. He'd already healed him, gave him his sight back. Right? Because that was ordained for him to get his sight back. Right?
Right.
Yahweh allowed him to be blind for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But after he got thrown out the synagogue, it says Yeshua heard about that and went and found him.
What's the parable about the shepherd?
Yeah.
Mm.
That lost sheep. Right. So now he got the healing, but now Yeshua gave him that word, that salvation. He said, do you believe upon the Son of Man? He said, well, who is he, Master?
Mm.
He said, it is I who's speaking to you. I'm paraphrasing that.
Yeah.
But he said, what? And the guy broke down and worshiped. And then those in the law were standing by. The Pharisees were standing by, right?
Mm-hmm.
They asked the Mashiach on the slick, are we blind also?
Mm.
They heard him because he said, the Son of Man has come to give sight, right? To those that are blind,
Mm-hmm.
and to blind those that without,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you think, so he said, hey, are we blind also? He said, if you were blind, your sin wouldn't be on you.
That's right.
You wouldn't be on, because a blind man don't know right from wrong. You can't see. There's no light. But then he said, but you say that you see.
You ain't got no excuse. No.
Yeah, that sin's still on you.
Of course.
So you walk right here huffed up and puffed up you want to. I'm a Hebrew.
So you see,
Shiach, say, man, you make it messed up out here.
look at the compassion that Yeshua had for the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his issue wasn't with the lost sheep.
No.
His issue was with the Pharisees and the scribes,
The shepherds,
and
right.
those who were in authority
Yeah.
and were coveting and lusting after power.
Yeah.
They didn't care about keeping that with
No.
Man,
They just want to be seen of men, man.
That was their glory.
they'll laugh at you, brother. And now let's do this. Let's go to Deuteronomy 16 and Brother Obadiah. And let's just see about here a couple of things here. And we're gonna see from Deuteronomy 16 verses 1 through 8. And let's just pick up a little bit of that. We might, and again, in this part of it, the children of Israel are out of Egypt, and they're coming into the land, the promised land. So they talk about these feast days again when you read the whole chapter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but brother, go ahead and you can start in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 1.
Okay, man. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1. Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto Yahweh thy Elohim. For in the month of Abib, Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto Yahweh thy Elohim of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life.
Okay.
Verse 4. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrificest the first day at even remain all night until the morning.
Okay. Now, okay. Follow that too, right?
Yes, sir.
There it is.
Verse 5. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, but at the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose to place his name in. There thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even. At the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt.
So, Yahweh placed his name ultimately where? Where did he place his name ultimately? There were some other places, but ultimately he placed his name in Jerusalem,
Okay.
right?
That's right.
So, so Yahweh had this thing all laid out.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were in Shiloh. Was that right? No. They were not Shiloh, the mountain. They were in they worshiped under the mountain. They were there for a while, but then Yahweh put his name in Jerusalem, right? So,
That's the final.
but all these things are in the book as you read and study. You find yourself here, Jerusalem. This is where my name is going to be.
That's right.
That's where you come to keep these feast days at.
This is why Shlomo, when he prayed, he said, "If people shall forsake themselves when they in the land of their enemies, they shall face that holy city."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's why we pray toward Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And some of our brothers, and the Muslims took that from us, from our people. Muhammad. See, these are things, everybody borrows from this book. Everybody borrows from our country culture. And even to this day, everybody appropriates from us as a nation of people within a nation of people. Right? They say, hey man, these guys got flavor, and we don't have to pay them back. We like how they dance, we like how they dress, we like how they speak. Well, they speak their Ebonics, but next thing you know, everybody and their mother is speaking Ebonics.
Mm-hmm.
And we just look. Sometimes we don't even catch it. But now that's acceptable colloquial usage now. But when we're doing it in our neighborhoods, among our people, they on that jive talking. But that's an envy. You understand? It's jealousy. Because even in a state of captivity, you influence the world.
If I can get you to hate yourself,
Right.
this is the oldest trick. So this is the oldest trick, but it's Yahweh's will.
Exactly.
Because Yahweh said you're gonna be the tail of all nations.
Right.
So you don't know they're following you,
Exactly.
but you're the tail because you following them.
Right.
You're supposed to be
We're
the head.
supposed to be the head.
But
But this is how it is. But maybe Yahweh is allowing us this evening. So when they see a few of his people keeping the holy days of Yahweh and seeing us trying to do that which is right. And we have a little difficulty here, but we're going to continue, brother. But they're going to take care of that. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. But again, when we are, we got to look at the spirit, and we got to be concerned and take care of everything. So hallelujah, brother. I'm feeling better. Praise Yah. But again, this unleavened bread, Yahweh, this is a feast that He lays out. So as you're reading right now, continue finishing where you were. You were
verse 7.
Verse 7?
Yes, sir. Verse 7. And thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose. And thou shalt turn in the morning and go unto thy tents. 6 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread. And on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt do no work therein.
Exactly. So the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is that we begin it with a Sabbath.
Correct.
And at the end of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we end it with a Sabbath.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So Yahweh linked these two feast days very closely. The Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread.
We know our fathers were keeping unleavened bread during the time when Passover was supposed to be kept. They were confusing it.
Exactly.
They were just doing it.
In one day. They do everything in one day. And we saw that in the Gospels.
Correct.
And but the Mashiach
Said
is
it
keeping
all.
it, he said it right.
Yeah.
He did it right, but you can see that that's where they had got.
Yeah.
But again, things change, but again, Yahweh don't change. So you can, and that's what we saw with Josiah last night when we read from the Passover, where Israelites had forgot about the book of the law. They were not keeping those things. And they found the book. And Josiah immediately began to implement those changes.
Correct.
And to comply. So much so that he pleased Yahweh. But he was still going to bring that judgment on Israel through the prophetess. What was her name? The prophetess there who said, because they've been worshiping gods of wood and stone. idols in this land, right?
Wife of Shaphan.
Right for shape. I think that was second. It was in Second Kings. Okay, and I just thought about her name. It was 35, right? Second Kings. No, it was Second Kings. It was Second Kings 20. But it was
chapter 22.
chapter 22.
It was,
Okay. We're in the book of Second Kings. We're just looking at over name in chapter 22, verse 14 down there. Gilgal,
Hold up.
hold up,
Yes.
hold up the prophets. And that's coming out of Second Kings chapter 22, verse 14. And again, it was a woman, it's a prophetess. She was married, but she was Yahweh used her as a prophetess to continue to get to show that Yahweh mean what he says.
You have to raise up a stone to serve.
Oh yeah,
These
exactly.
our fathers got very haughty in the land with that mindset.
Right. But you can't regulate Yahweh. You can't regulate like Yahweh. Let's just look at the momentarily. Let's look at the book of Ezekiel, chapter 45. Let's just look there for a minute. And brother, we're going to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 45, and
Shadow of things to come.
yeah, I think that's where make sure I'm in the right place. Yes. Well, yeah, we're gonna see that that yes, the shadow of things to come in chapter 45. It lays out about the prince and certain things, but we're gonna see even here that the unleavened bread, the feast of unleavened bread will be taken, will be continued. So if you mind reading in verse 19 and read it down to 25.
No problem.
And we're in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 45.
Ezekiel chapter 45, verse 19. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering, and put it upon the post of the house, and upon the four corners of the settle of the altar, and upon the post of the gate of the inner court. And so thou shalt do the 7th day of the month for every one that erreth, and for him that is simple, so shall you reconcile the house. In the first month, in the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself, and for all the people of the land, a bullock for a sin offering. And 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to Yahweh, 7 bullocks and 7 rams without blemish, daily the 7 days.
Wow.
And a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering. And he shall prepare a meal offering of an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and an hin of oil for an ephah. In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month, he shall do the like of the feast of the 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the meal offering, and according to the oil.
See, these are the visions of the kingdom of heaven. These are visions of the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And these things will be going on in the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But now when you see in verse 20 again, would you read that again, brother?
Yes, sir. Verse 20. And so shalt thou do the 7th day of the month for every one that erreth, and for him that is simple, so shall you reconcile the house.
So in the kingdom of heaven, there will be animal sacrifices,
Mm-hmm.
not for transgression of the law,
Right.
but for errors. It says for those who are simple. You might make a mistake and do something in the kingdom of heaven, if y'all will, if you are not, and we're talking about not the resurrected dead, us. If we're part of those who are alive that are there, if you sin by error, that sacrifice will be done.
So,
Not error.
Deliberate sin.
No deliberate
Right.
sin.
so what you're saying, they're going to be flesh and blood also in the kingdom.
Well said, Elder. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah, and y'all willing, I hope to be one of them.
Because,
Alive, that would be great.
especially Christian, they have a problem with this this section of the book.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
they said, I thought more or less the Messiah came and died. Why are we going to return to the animal sacrifice? Then his entrance or his existence, when he arrived, is null and void. It didn't make any sense.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Right. And it would not make any sense under their doctrine that was that's been laid out under the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's correct.
So we did classes in the past in our study as deacons. And I did a deacons class, and one of the things about Christian heaven and Muslim paradise, and distinguishing those things. But if you want to understand the Christian church, you're not going to get a good understanding going to the various denominations under Christianity, under the Protestant belief system, right? So you're not going to get that because they don't even know why they do certain things.
That's correct.
What you have to do is purchase a copy of the Catholic Catechism.
That's right.
The Catechism. That's what you have to buy. And in the Catechism, it lays out all of the basis for Christianity and why they do things. And you're going to see Yahweh's name is right in there. They know Yahweh. You're going to see the Tetragrammaton in there. You're going to know everything, from why you worship on Sunday. It's all there.
Yeah, that's
See, so when you're studying, you gotta, like I said, I'm a Christian, but you don't even know why you do what you do. Tell me why you do what you do. Now I can tell you why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you that. But we know. Let's go to John 4 real quick, brother. I think the Gospel of John, chapter 4, just real quick, and so we can tell you. I can tell you why. If you are under the blood and you understand what is, I think it's John 4. Let me make sure here. Let's see if I can find it. Now we go to John 4, and this is the woman, the Samaritan woman that Yeshua HaMashiach was talking to by the well, right? She's Samaritan, but something went down here, right, with her. So let's see why we know who we are. But Obi, would you read from the Gospel of John, chapter 4, starting at verse 14?
Yes, sir.
The Gospel of John, chapter 4, verse 14, and go to 13, I should say, because he asked the woman for some water, and this is what the Messiah responds in kind after that.
John chapter 4, verse 13. Yeshua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up unto everlasting life. The woman saith unto him, Sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw.
That's the flesh component. I want some water. I think it's flesh, right? She don't think about satisfying thirst. I ain't got nothing to drink again. I need that.
Remember now, when Yeshua was in paradise.
Right.
So
that is going to flip back on me. It's spiritual.
Praise. Verse 16. Yeshua saith unto her, Go call thy husband and come hither.
Now, that's the law. So she says Yeshua put it out there. You don't set her up. She's a woman. You want to make sure. Go see your husband, because a woman in our culture, she could not buy, you're going to give her something, right? But she could not bind herself to that, you understand, unless her husband ratifies it, right? And if her husband ratifies it, or her father, if she's in her father's home, or her husband, one of them have to ratify it. Because if she were to come and say, I obligated myself in such a way, that husband or her father, if she's in her father's home, could what? Nullify the deal.
Yeah.
No, she cannot do that. You got to come to me. So Yeshua He keeps the law perfectly. So go get your husband. Let's go and talk. Go find your, look at your husband.
And again, it shows some order in that establishment or in that union.
Right. Well, yeah, every culture got order. We're just in campaign. See, this is not nothing. Every culture, all the nations got culture and values, mores and mores and values. Things you do, things you don't do. So the children of Israel, Yahweh gave us these things as well. And give our fathers laws and cultures and mores. So this is one of them. Well, I'm talking to you right now, but I'm getting ready to give you, if you want something, I'm going to give it to you, but I got to do it decently in order.
Right.
So get your husband. And what happens after that, brother?
Verse 17. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yeshua said unto her, you have well said.
Okay, there
I
it
have
is.
no husband.
There you go.
For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not your husband.
What?
In that sayest thou truly.
Okay.
The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship.
Now you see where we are? He put his name in Jerusalem. They used to worship in the mountain there, right?
Correct.
So he's telling, so they know the history. She lives in Samaria. She's an Israelite, but she's living in Samaria. But there is a stigma attached to Samaritans because of that deportation of Israel by the Assyrians.
Yeah,
And they brought other people into the land.
that's correct.
So we're still looking at them kind of side-eyed about their pedigree and there's some problems. But Mashiach is talking to her. So go ahead, bro.
Verse 21. Yeshua saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship you know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews.
Stop, right? That's what I want you to hear. So you got to know who you are. When you know who you are, you're doing good, right? So we know who we are. So when we're reading these things, when you up in here, we begin to see that when you know who you are, everything boils down to you at this point. Yeah, we're at the bottom, but salvation is of us.
Correct.
You got to hear one of us. Yahweh got to bring you a Jew, a Messianic Jew. He got to bring you one of us somewhere, somehow. If you're going to hear His word, at some point now. And that's a good position. That's a blessing. So you can give your brothers and sisters the word. Now, when he dealt with the sister, he didn't beat her down. He just threw out that thing to her. He had no, and of course, she got, the whole village got the word.
Of course.
She went back.
Yeah.
But he just showing you that prophecy. He had to do that to her to let her know, this is I perceive that you are a prophet. And he went back to her people and told them. But with that, I want to just cover that. Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 5, Uriah, and we're going to see how Saul how he uses this discussion. He's a Pharisee. He knows the law, right? So he's able to, in his discourse in his writings, he's able to use that language and the word in an elevated fashion that many of us cannot do.
He was a master of
Yes.
the law, man.
So now, but this is for our edification
Yeah.
at this time, right? And we can say, man, that spirit was on that brother but Yahweh used him. He said, okay, you were messing up the church, but that's okay. I'm going to use you. You're the man I need. I'm going to send you out here among the other nations. I'm going to send you out to them. You speak the Greek. You speak this. You speak Latin. You speak Greek. And I'm going to bring not only some of our people who were Hellenized, you're going to go to them. And they've been living and everybody in America just about is Hellenized. Meaning you follow the ways of your masters who enslaved you. You're Christians, you eat, you drink, you think. And that's the way it is. But the whole world is Latinized. And most of the Western world. And that's democracy and other things. Not to say evil or otherwise, but that's just the way it is. Right? Why do you think English is the predominant language in the world? You know, why do you think the West is so powerful? Well, Yahweh is using those people.
But you know, the question that comes to my mind is, where was our forefathers when they were writing the Constitution?
Well, what do you think they were? They doing hardcore slavery.
Okay.
They were bound up.
We wasn't around
So
the
you
table.
can't even take glory. You can't even glorify in nothing in this book. Outside of Yahweh, they give you a spirit to pick it up.
Okay.
Because if you're get mad at your fathers, if something's wrong with this book, well, you say, Yahweh, why our fathers got, talk to Yahweh about it.
Of course.
If you don't, tell him, talk to Yahweh. Ask Yahweh, why are you scattered the children of Israel? Why you let this book do this, and that?
Mm-hmm.
You talk to him. He'll say, well, I just said not he. He said, but you might hear something like, well, I tell you what. Why can't you just do the basics of what I say? Why don't you do that? Because you might pass out tonight, right? And what you gonna do then? See, we got to be about practicality sometimes. See? Get the book, get the understanding, but at the end of the day, you got to be looking about your mortality. You're not going to tiptoe around here forever. You're not promised to go to the wilderness. Who told you that? Which angel came to you and said, you good? You're going to live all the way through. You're going to get out on that boat and go wherever we're supposed to go. And you're going to survive the purging and everything in the wilderness for 3.5 years. And then you're going to go into Jerusalem, take the land, and you're going to be here when the Mashiach come back. You good.
Some of them got that from their teachers, though.
Well, I think,
we heard, they said, you see,
yeah.
your spot is locked.
Right.
Wow.
Who told you that? See, he can't tell you if he sealed. Be careful.
I thought the Mashiach said you must endure this run until the very end.
Exactly. For you always.
Yeah.
That you found worthy to enter the kingdom.
That's correct.
What you praying for? You found worthy. If the very elect might not even, if it's possible, you may not. Come on, man. You see what I'm saying?
I know, man.
We think this is something. It's all about the Christian mindset.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saved. I'm gonna make it. You know, and those are some good people.
But can you blame, when you look on the other side, can you blame them? Because of our downfall of our father, we drift into, different, ideology or whatever.
I'm not even distinguishing them, brother Uriah. I'm talking about when you can look at those of us who say that we're Israel, Hebrew Israelites, whatever the term you want to use, versus our people who are in Christianity. They're in religion, but again, they're good people, right? Some of them are good people. Yahweh is going to preserve them.
They're going to preserve them.
Some of them. You may not make it, but they might be there. But I want to juxtapose that here in the Hebrew community where we get that same mindset. I'm going. I'm gonna make it over there. Like say, well, okay, I know where you're going.
See, they in the land, and they said, well, Jerusalem's a pot. We the flesh.
Yeah.
Y'all can't do without us. Well, that's what they thought. That's what they thought.
What you told Moshe? You should get away from me. Let me get rid of these.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I'm making a nation.
And what John the Baptist said. They said, don't even say you're Abraham's seed. Don't start that with me. Because Yahweh can raise up stones of the children to Abraham.
That's right.
So he's very real about this. But let's look at, again, we have to be very careful of how we roll. So let's look at this.
1 Corinthians?
Yes,
chapter 5.
Yeah, chapter 5. And let's go to verses 1 through 8, if you don't mind.
1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1. It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as it not so much as name among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife.
Okay.
And you are puffed up, and have not rather mourned, that he that hath done this deed might be taken away from among you.
You got to excommunicate it.
Yep.
You know, what does that mean? See, sometimes we get, they got a different opinion. Oh, you got to get him out of here. Come on now. If you're here sleeping with the man, you don't sleep with your father's wife, that's against the law. And Paul said, hey, man, you got to get that. You got to get that off around you.
Yep.
Right? And go ahead, brother.
Verse 3. For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, I've judged already, as though I were present, concerning that had so done this deed. In the name of our Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach, when you are gathered together, and my spirit with the power of our Adonai, Yeshua HaMashiach, to deliver such an one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Adonai, Yeshua.
Let Satan vet him. Let him get dealt with, because he needs to get his mind right.
Yeah.
He got the wrong spirit.
Yeah. Verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. I wrote, we're supposed to stop, verse 8.
You can stop right there. Yeah, that's what we want. So we're seeing here, what he says, purge out therefore the old leaven in verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
Purge out therefore the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. Verse 6, laid it out, I'm sorry. Know you not that a little leaven leavens the whole lump. It only take a little yeast to rise the bread, right?
Yeah.
But see, that's what sin, that leaven represents sin. And again, Yahweh is showing us love. Again, you got to get whatever you're dealing with, you got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you know what I mean, you're risking putting yourself in an unclean situation. You're risking putting yourself in jeopardy. Because you can't serve Yahweh. You got to serve him in the spirit and truth, right? You got to serve him in the spirit and truth. You can't serve Yahweh in mammon and got things in you that's wrong.
No, right? I'm stepping.
What did Yeshua say? Be you hot or be you cold?
Right.
So if you lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out my mouth.
Right.
That's unprofitable.
Exactly. And I'm going to kind of wrap up here, but I'm going to show you an example in the very beginning of this leaven. And go to, who was it? Were you reading? Okay, but just go for this one. Genesis chapter 4. This is Cain and Abel, right? In the book of Genesis. And we know that Cain's offering was not accepted, right? And Abel's was, right? And so, because you got to bring that flock, that animal, that blood. You got to something that's dear. He knew this, apparently, because Adam taught him. But for whatever reason, he brought a sacrifice that was not going to be respected by Yahweh. So let's just read chapter 4, verse 4.
Okay.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 4.
Yes, sir. Verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And Yahweh had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahweh said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
From the very beginning, Yahweh told you, if you don't purge out that leaven, it's right there.
That's right.
It's at the door. It wants to control you. And you're going to do something, you might commit a murder. Right? Because we know out of the heart, right?
That's right.
Didn't Yahshua say that?
Yeah.
So out of the heart comes all that stuff, not the cup. Right?
Nope.
But what's in you.
That's right.
That comes up to the top, right? So we have to be very, very confident. That's why you think we're having this feast? It's not just for you to get a meal.
Spiritual.
It's a spiritual.
Yes.
You're supposed to be a spiritual people. But if you want to build carnal people, juxtaposed to being a spiritual people, right? See, you're going to have a problem with Yahweh and Mashiach. You know, you got to deal with that flesh. You got to deal with that flesh, that sin, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we have to purge it. We got to fight with it we got to fight it every day. So, yeah, we could preach, teach, and go into this all night, but that's not required of us to do that all night. But I will refer you to, I think it's in, in Matthew 15, in the Gospel of Matthew. And when he talked about that cup, not washing your hands before you eat, right? And that by not dealing with by not keeping the tradition of the elders. And Yeshua goes on and lays out and breaks down to his disciples what that's all about. But you're right. Just read, because he's going to ask Peter he's going to ask the Mashiach, what does that parable mean? And let's pick it up at Matthew 15, verse 15 to 20.
Verse 20.
No. Matthew 15, verse 15.
Matthew 15, verse 15.
Right.
Then answered Peter and said unto him, Declare unto us this parable. And Yeshua said, Are you also yet without understanding?
You run the Mashiach all the time. Still ain't getting it.
24/7. Do not you yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the draught? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man.
There we go.
For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murderers, adulterers, fornication, theft, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man.
Well, I say unto you, as Yeshua, so Yeshua is saying that's sin, right? All those things are a result of sin. Yeshua does not want his people to be defiled by sin. You're defiling yourself. You holding something in you against somebody, you defiling yourself. You're the one that's not clean. Not them, it's you. Don't point to them, it's you. You're the one. That, because you know what's going, it's going to come right out. At some point, it's going to trigger.
Yeah.
You're going to snap. Boop. There it is. Right? So Yeshua is saying, it's there, but let's be realistic. I'm going to walk with you. We'll work through it. Because he don't want us to be like this. He wants us to be, what? Righteous in him. But he got to, what? Purge that out of us. So we can keep these commandments. We can do all these holy days. What did we say about that? We can do all these things, but what? If it's not love, you got to have love in you, it won't amount to nothing. Because the love, that sin is keeping the love out. You know, so it's a battle. But we have to find a way to yield over to that. So with that, I don't want to be here all night. So we covered a couple of things. I think that, so I'm going to just go to Brother Uriah. If anything you brothers want to say, in addition to what we've covered regarding this Feast of Unleavened Bread, and we know that leaven is a metaphor for sin.
Well, first, as what you said, we have to check ourselves before we can check someone else. We have to clean the mote in our eye first.
Oh,
we can,
great.
tell someone else.
That's right.
Yeah, because that is very important. Then you can see clearly, to teach your brother or your sister. I said, look, you're going the wrong way. Turn to the right. Don't turn to the left. And, as we continue to read this book, because it's important for us to start from the beginning of the book, as what, my elder and my deacon brother have said, so we can get a full understanding, even to understand better the Gospels and also the letters, especially of Paul's letters.
Right.
Yeah, because we can get, taken to the side, because, we don't start at the beginning of the book. And, let's continue to give Yahweh, the glory and the honor, for allowing us, to be here, as family, as one big family, to worship Him in truth and in righteousness for His name's sake. That's all.
Oh, thank you, brother Elder Uriah. Brother Obadiah.
The elder, what I received was if we could read Psalms
Okay.
19.
The book of Psalms. Okay.
Praise
We're talking about living. And
That's
so,
right.
What I was meditating on is what I received.
Okay. Let me get there. Psalms 19.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not gonna hold that. I just want to
No,
read
go ahead,
verses,
bro.
7 through 14.
Oh yeah. Praise God.
It says Psalms chapter 19, verse 7. The law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahweh is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahweh is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward.
Praise God.
Who can understand his errors?
Right.
Cleanse thou me from secret faults.
Wow.
Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me.
Praise God.
Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Yahweh, my strength and my redeemer.
Brother, what more can be added to that? You dropped the mic on that. Hallelujah. And with that, we're going to end our Feast of Unleavened class discussion this evening. And we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. And as we went over the word regarding this Feast of Unleavened Bread, and I pray that you have a great Sabbath and that you keep your get your unleavened bread. Hopefully you have it already and eat of it daily with your meals. And we have another holy day coming up after this. Is that right, my brother?
Yes, sir.
And what's that?
First fruits.
First fruits.
Yes, sir.
And we won't be at this facility, but we just thank Yahweh for allowing us to be here to do this.
Praise Him.
But again, we know that's when
The males appear, before Yahweh, and they should not, appear empty. And, if you would like, to, offer an offering unto Yahweh, I'm sure most of you guys, know the first location. You can drop by at the first location and make an offering, to Yahweh.
right. But definitely try to, no matter where, but try to do that.
Yeah.
And so you can be obedient to that. We will also be having our keeping the regular Sabbath, and we're in the book of Exodus.
That's right.
And the class is entitled "A Nation
Out of a Nation."
A Nation Out of a Nation.
That's right.
And and again, we're going to get more in detail what we've been doing. So with that, I'm going to bring to a close this Sabbath discussion, and I wish you all a great feast day and Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, brother. My brother. Praise Yah for both of you. Praise Yah and praise Yah for all of you. And with that, Shabbat Shalom.